Hi, everybody, and welcome into today's IPTAY ClemsonTigers.com football report. It is a Thursday with Tim, so we spend this Thursday here with Sports Information Director Tim Beret. Tigers and the Wofford Terriers getting ready to have that 14th overall meeting. Clemson 10-3 so far in this series.
That's right. Interesting statistics and things about the 1981 game, of course. That was the opening of a great season for the Tigers. But people forget Wofford, it was just an NAI school then, led Clemson 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Think of the odds you could have gotten if you were in the stands and turned to your friend and said, I think Clemson's going to win the national championship at the end of the season. But Wofford really played well against Clemson that day. They had 200 yards rushing. Only Nebraska also had 200 yards rushing. And also want to give props to Wade Lang, who's now the offensive coordinator at Wofford. He was the leading rusher that day for Wofford with 76 yards. And at the end of the season, only Herschel Walker and Roger Craig had more yards rushing in Clemson's defense than Wade Lang.
All right, so Wade Lang in some pretty good company there. Let's talk a little bit about, and we have to just because it's been talked about already, the freshman impact, what we saw in that first game, all the numbers and kind of records that they set. We're finding out this freshman class that was so heralded so far through one game living up to its hype.
That's right. The Tigers played 70 players last Saturday against Troy. 24 of them were freshmen, 12 true freshmen, 12 redshirt freshmen. Of course, Sammy Watkins scored the first time he touched the ball on a 33-yard reception from Taj Boyd. Mike Bellamy went 75 yards for a touchdown the first time he carried the ball. Bryant had a 54-yard catch. Robert Smith had an interception. Anthony had a sack and maybe his fourth or fifth play. So it was a pretty good beginning for those guys.
And we talked about that on last week's show about how the freshmen are going to make an impact. All right, let's just talk a little bit about maybe Southern Conference roots and also, of course, Wofford, a member of the Southern Conference, and just some of the things that we need to know from that aspect.
Yeah, of course, the Wofford-Clemson series goes back to 1896, I believe the third game in the history of Clemson football. Wofford hasn't beaten Clemson since 1933. Ironically, in those days, Clemson was in the Southern Conference and Wofford was not. They also had 2 wins over the Tigers in the mid-20s, and the two teams haven't met since 2001, which was on September the 8th, just 3 days from the 9/11 attacks. And now, ironically, we're playing them the day before the 10-year anniversary of that event.
And fittingly, Military Appreciation Day here for that. So make sure that you get your Military Appreciation shirt and all the things that come along. And you're going to want to be here for all the pregame and halftime festivities as well on Military Appreciation Day. All right, for Tim Beret, I am Don Munson. Thanks for being with us here today on ClemsonTigers.com.